All right, so our topic was what are teachers' attitudes towards an inclusive PE setting, and I'm Dylan, and
And I'm Jason.
this is Jason. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how important it is to portray different characteristics as a phys ed teacher. Now, it says that you should have athletic ability. That way, it makes it easier to teach different sports, relay the rules to the students, and it shows that you know what you're doing, and they'll be willing to listen to you and follow your example, as well as the teaching ability, which applies to that. You want to be able to portray like what you're supposed to do. Interpersonal skills, be able to relate to the students. Communication, obviously communicate to them. Be patient, because not every student's going to be on the same talent level as others. So some are going to have issues, and you're going to have to be willing to explain to them in more detail, as well as take more time with them to reiterate instructions. And organization, you don't want your activities to be all messy. Creativity, develop new games to keep things interesting, keep it fun for the students, and obviously the most important thing is focus on the students.
Alright, now the next thing we're going to be talking about is keeping the students engaged. So first of all, to keep a student engaged, you need to make sure that the student is interested in what they are learning. Now, according to James S. Salas, he said that providing physical activity during physical education is the major indicator of physical education quality, because the kids are doing physical activity and it has many health benefits. Now, there's two goals of health-related physical education. The first is to prepare the youth for a lifetime of physical activity, and the second is to provide them with physical activity during the physical education class. Now, after 20 years since then, there have been questions as to how you could pass along the benefits of physical education in a school without boring the students and not keeping everyone engaged. That's important to keep the students engaged because they need to be active for the whole class.
Now, like I said before, developing fun activity plans, and as well as being creative, that's a big thing. You don't want to bore the classes. You want to continuously preach physical activity, and you want participation, which is a big thing. Now, keeping a positive attitude in an inclusive PE setting will evidently enable students to understand the major benefits in physical education. And a study conducted by S.J. Farklow in 2005, he basically showed that when involving team games, 43.2% of both boys and girls students participated in major to vigorous physical activity. And this was the highest percentage of participation among students. And it's important to sort of up the tempo or lower the tempo, create a regimen of different frequencies of activity. That way it keeps things new and inventive. So conducting team games like basketball, football, etc. will force the students to work together, develop team building skills, but at the same time will develop athletic ability and will increase physical activity. And if you do not participate, and you're not a standout, most likely the grade will be penalized in the class. So that's another thing you should preach, is that if you don't participate, you will lose points.
All right, now as a teacher, it is important to be understanding of each and every student and also be considerate. So physical education classes have a variety of students. They have kids that aren't athletic, they have athletes, they have boys, they have girls, and it really is important to take into consideration of the student's athletic ability and their sports background. Now, in a survey of 750 males aged 14 to 21, which is a normal high school age or earlier freshman in college, it was found that 33% of respondents believed that they were unfairly treated in a classroom because they were discriminated against their sexuality, and no, this is definitely not fair. And then 44% of the kids had been verbally, and 16% had been physically abused, which is also very unfair to students. If you want students to feel comfortable in a PE setting, you want them to feel like they can have fun while they're being active. And as a teacher, it's important in these circumstances to make sure that everyone in the class is being treated fairly and respectfully amongst their peers?
Okay, so as a physical education teacher, it's important to know your importance. Everyone's eyes are on you. You're basically the center of attention. They're going to be listening to you and paying attention to your every move because that's the whole idea of you teaching them. And sometimes kids have no other outlet for physical activity because they simply don't have a reason to partake in exercise at home. They have more distractions at home. So when they're in your PE class, they're in your PE class. And then in order to take advantage of that, these kids who are struggling to stay in shape, you really need to focus on those kids. That way, whether it's every day, every other day, whatnot, they're benefiting from your PE class. And another factor, a study conducted by Christina S. Barroso, it supported this ideology that the National Association for Sport and Physical Education supports the beliefs of respondents, affirms that PE increases movement, alertness, academic success, promotes social, cooperative, and problem-solving competencies, and assists in the development of motor skills, physical fitness, and it fosters healthy lifestyles. Now, you definitely want to follow this protocol, and you definitely want to help improve this amongst all students. And following this statement, the NASPE initiated a survey which showed that 76% of parents believe that PE could help benefit their kids, as well as the high rate of child obesity. And 54% believe that PE is as important or more important than academics such as mathematics, science, and English. So it definitely has the same effects that those classes should have. So basically, at the end of the day, motivate your students to enhance themselves both physically and develop a curriculum that honors that statement above. And physical education is clearly prevalent in developing positive changes in lifestyles as seen above. And as a PE teacher, like I said, you're the focus of attention. You gotta foreshadow that example.
Now, as a teacher, once again, it is important to know what the students want. Without knowing what the students want, you're not going to know what to teach them, and then if you're teaching them information that they don't really care about, it's going to be hard for the students to engage in the topic. Now, you need to be aware of what the students are interested in, and you need to take into consideration also that a lot of these students in physical education classes play extracurricular sports outside of school, or they could be on the school team. So you need to find a balance of interest between the students. There was a survey conducted that 33 different activities were able to be chosen from with 881 participants, and the top sports that the children chose was basketball, football, bowling, and swimming. And then if you're doing these activities in your PE class, the students are clearly going to be engaged because they even voted on the topics that they want to be involved in. Now, if you honor the students' interest, you'll see an increase in enjoyment clearly in the PE classes, as well as an increase in overall physical activity and inclusiveness.
Okay, so the main thing we're preaching here is get the students to participate, but as well get them to participate for the right reasons. Now, over the years, it's come about that many physical education teachers are being too hard about grades, and they're sort of shifting their focus less on the physical activity regimen. Therefore, the students are solely making sure that they're getting A's in the class instead of actually focusing on if they're getting enough physical activity in the class. You don't want everything to be torturing. You don't want everything to be mandatory. You want them to feel free in your class, but at the same time, you want them to feel like they can let loose a little bit and let off some steam. Now, Tara A. Stevens conducted a study, and it involved 22,000 children and families. It was found that many students were participating in activities solely to receive academic achievements versus improving on the physical performance. At this point, as a PE teacher, you got to take into consideration that it's not okay. You have to step back, create a more accommodating curriculum and environment for your students that way it doesn't seem like you're not embracing fun aspect of things. And that's our work
That's
side.
it. Thank you.